Hello guys, welcome back. Today let's discuss how we approach any problem, right? How do we think if we come across any problem to solve using software? So in our case, it's going to be through JavaScript, right? So as we're learning through the language, how could we use that any concept that we learn, or how do we first think about the problem and then understand the requirements of the problem? Then based on that requirement, we need to think about, okay, what concepts could we utilize from JavaScript, right? It's basically going backwards, right? From we have to do kind of reverse engineering. So far you might have seen a lot of people like teaching in a way that, okay, first they will teach you concepts, right? For example, they will talk about, okay, what is variable, right? What is function? And then using them in a program, then you'll get some clarity, right? I'm not saying that's bad. That's one way of teaching, right? Well, I think we could do better in that approach. So, in this series, the approach that I'm going to take is that first we need to talk through like what we're going to solve, and then, okay, once we get the clarity, then what concepts do I have to utilize from JavaScript to solve this problem, right? This way, you tune your mind to always think about solutioning the problem rather in the other way, right? Memorizing the concepts and then applying them somewhere else. That would also work, but doesn't scale much. Like if you come across any critical problem, then it's very difficult to get along, think about the problem, and your mind won't get easily go through it, right? So it's not seamless. So that's why I always take this approach, and personally that's how I learn anything, any new technology. That's how I learn. First I take some problem and then I work on the problem. While working through it and apply and explore the documentation, and okay, oh yeah, I think this concept, I think it will work, then I'll utilize that. So in a layman terms, if I have to tell that, right, the problem statement, you want to write something on the notebook, right? So you have to write, right? Then what do you need to write something, right? Whether do you need a pencil or pen, or what kind of pen, what kind of color do you need, what kind of the ballpoint you need, right? So it's all, you'll get a lot of options to think, right? Then what do you do? Like, okay, once you decide upon, okay, so there are many things that I can choose from. So for my requirement, I need a pencil. So because my requirement is I have to write something, and then I should be able to erase if I do any mistakes, right? I need to correct that. So in that case, a pencil will work the best. Then I'll go pick up pencil and then I'll use that. So same analogy apply in the software language concept, right? So in this case, let's take a simple problem, right? Let's build on top of what we learned already in the previous video. Sum of two numbers, right? I want to add two numbers, right? So the same analogy, I want to write something. So these two are same, right? Then to write something, I need a pen. So to add two numbers in the program, in the software program, what do I need, right? So that's where you need to think, right? This kind of analysis will make your mind so easily get onto the problem and think in that direction, right? So in this case, keeping the technology aside, like if I have to add two numbers, right, what do I do? Like if I have to do manually, let's take two numbers, right, 10 plus 5, right? In your mind, what you're doing in the behind the scenes, when you say 10 and 5, you are storing the 10 in your mind somewhere, right? And then you are storing 5 also in your mind, and then in the mind you are adding them, and you know that is 15, right? How the 15 is coming through your mouth? Because you are storing that 15 somewhere else also in your mind, right? So to compute this whole problem, what you did was you stored 10, and then you stored 5, and then you picked those two numbers from that location, and then you added, you get the result, right? And again you put the result somewhere else in your mind, and then when you decide to say the result, and you're saying it from your mind, because you picked that from that 15, the result from that location, and then you're saying the result, right? So writing software programs is the same thing. You are replicating the real world into a program, so that program does what you need in real time. So that's what we are doing, any technology, right? So in this case, let's replicate the same steps here in the program. Then I will explain like what concepts did I use from JavaScript, what it is, and you will immediately know. In same like pen example, right? Yeah, pen or pencil example. So if you don't know like what pencil was doing before, then when you knew that, okay, so to write something I need to use pencil, then you immediately, like, it's implicit, right? It's already understood that okay, oh, pencil is used to write something, right? In the same way here, we use concepts, and then you know, okay, oh, this concept is used for this purpose. I don't have to explain it, you will see it immediately. Okay, so there are three steps we did. Store first number in your mind, right? Store second number, and then store result, right? These are the steps we have performed in our mind. Now the next question is, since we are writing this in JavaScript, what do I need to store something, right? Okay, so that's where like the real concept comes into picture. Okay, so in JavaScript, to store something, some value, you can use the concept called variable concept. So here the syntax to define a variable is, you define const, and then you give the name of the variable, right? So in this case, a, right? And what is our example there? Here we took 10, 5, and then result is 15, right, in our mind. Now we need to store 10, so we store 10. What really happens here is, let's divide this. So what is this const? Const means constant. So that means that once you assign a value to a variable of type constant, then you cannot change that value. Okay, so that's what is called constant. Means constant, it is constant, it will never change. And a is the name of the variable. So when you store in your mind, it is some location in the mind, right? But in the program, to refer to that variable or value, you need to give some name to it, right? We are giving name a. So imagine in memory, so in this case, it is a RAM, random access memory in your machine, right? It is a memory. In that memory, when we do this, it's going to store the value 10, and then it will assign name to it. It's a. So that's what we would use to store any value, right? So in this case, you know like what is variable. What is variable? Variable is to store some value, right? And then what is we need to do, store the second value also, right? Same thing. Now you know how to define variable. So you define that. We perform these first two steps, right? Now we need to do the result, right? We need to perform this operation. So in mind, we added these two variables. We know what is addition, right? But in JavaScript, how do we do it? Does JavaScript know how to do the addition? Yes, that's where we use these symbols. So 10 plus 5. Here, here we used the symbol. What is that symbol? It is called operator. So to perform this kind of operations, there are number of operators we could use. It could be addition, it could be subtraction, it could be multiplication. There are operators for each operation, right? So in this case, we used addition. So if we just do 10 plus 5, what happens? It does this computation. It gets 15, but where does the 15 go? If you run this program now, nothing happens. These two variables will be in memory, and then this result is done, and when the program exits, you won't see anything here because you are not putting this result anywhere. You are not storing it. So what you need to do, you need to store that also. Now these are in the memory. As long as the program is running, these values are there. You can use them however you want. How we are using it? We are printing it, right? So to print, I want to print the result. How am I accessing this value? I'm just using the variable name. Because of that, JavaScript behind the scenes, it goes to that location and then grab the value. That's why you can directly use the name of the variable. That's the reference to the value. That's the location. You can consider location of the value for easy understanding, right? So that's it. These are the same steps we performed in mind, and we replicated them in program, right? Now you know what is variable. You will never forget this. Once you understand this concept, what exactly did it solve, right? It is simple. To store something in program, you need to use variables. Variable is something, is where that is the place where that you store a value, right? So now if you get these kind of use cases, right, you immediately think about oh yeah, I will just use variables to store values, right? So this is the thinking that we will approach going forward, like every problem, right? So let's run this. Node variable function.js. See 15, right? So if I don't do it, for example 10 plus 5, what can I print here? Nothing. How do I access this? It is not stored anywhere. I cannot do it, right? So if you don't want to do that, I could do this. You can directly print this operated value, but still, once it is computed and come out of this statement, that value is gone. After this line, if you want to use that value of the result, you don't have it because you did not store, right? So just to summarize, a variable is all about storing value. It could be number, it could be string. We'll go for different types of values in the later videos, but from this video what you need to take away is how to store a value in JavaScript in any program, right? You use variables. Okay, so in the next video we'll go a little bit further in the variables, and then we talk through functional concept. Okay, how do we use functions? What is the purpose of functions? And again, the same approach. We start with the problem and then go to the concept, and eventually you will see how that concept is applied to solve that problem. Okay, see you guys. Thank you.